Hey guys, welcome back to another Swift programming logic tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a do until loop in Swift. So a do until loop or a repeat until loop is a loop which is sometimes seen in other programming languages. However, in most programming languages it doesn't exist simply because it's really similar to a while loop. So basically a do until loop is almost the exact same as while loop, but instead of the condition being checked at the start of each iteration, it gets checked at the end of each iteration. So I'll show you guys an example. Let's create a variable I here, set that to 0, and let's run while I is not equal to 0, print I. So in a regular while loop, what this would do is you wouldn't get anything since I is already 0, and when it checks for this function, it's checking while I is not equal to 0 and I is equal to 0, so this condition is false, which means this is not going to run since it's not going to do anything. But in a do until loop, it wouldn't check it here, so all this code would run and then it would check the condition here, and it would check this here, which would give you false here. But actually, since it will run once, I would have become -1, which now means it isn't equal to 0. So it's really important in do until loops, if you do use them, that you create inclusive, I guess, or exhaustive conditions. So in any normal loop this would be fine since it would always have to go through 0, but in a do until loop, since it's always going to execute this code before, this could also just go below 0. So what you can do, instead of not equal to 0, you can do while I is greater than or equal to 0, and now what that's going to do is going to work perfectly again. So if it's still like this, the this is still going to return true. So if I is 0 and then while I is greater than or equal to 0, so since I is equal to 0, this condition is true. And actually wait, let me remove that. That should work. Okay, so now while I is greater than 0, so now this is false and this won't run, but here, check condition here, so this would have run, now I would have become -1, but this is still not going to work. So the main difference is that you are guaranteed a run in a do until loop, whereas a while loop, if a condition isn't met, then the code inside will never run. So to create a do until loop in Swift, it's quite simple. We're going to use a while loop, but we're going to just create the condition in a different place. So what we're going to do is, let's pretend this is the same condition we want. So here, while true, so we're going to run this forever, and let's just put our usual code in here. So print I, and let's just reset I to 0 again, print I, and I minus equals 1, and now we're going to check the condition here. So this is the condition which we want to check, and if that's true, we're just going to break out of the loop and this will take us out. So this is a do until loop, and if I run both, so let's just print here while loop and do until loop. So let's run this now, and what you'll notice is the while loop won't run at all, but the do until loop will run this one iteration and then it will break out. And that's just basically what a do until loop is. Now I don't really know why they're useful. Like, I'd always use a while loop over, but oh, what have I done here? Let's just stop this so that it doesn't crash. So if I is in a do until loop also, this is only going to break if this is true. So what we can do instead is, since this is false, we can, instead of doing this, we can just do this, I believe. Will that fix it? And now this is going to get the inverse of that. so that this only happens once. So basically this is a condition we're checking, same condition on both, however the while loop didn't execute at all, but the do until loop did execute once. So yeah, basically what that means is the do until loop always executes an extra time with the same condition in a while loop, simply because while loop checks condition at the first, whereas do until loop checks condition last. So yeah, thanks for watching, and this is how you create a do until loop in Swift.